Hi friends, it's nice to be with you. This is a video I'm recording on Saturday, the day before Palm Sunday. Just a reminder, yesterday I threw out some ideas of how we might observe Palm Sunday without being able to gather in church, maybe without palms. A couple of folks watched that video, fired back at me that of course in Rock Springs we would line the streets with sagebrush and tumbleweeds if we were going to welcome in the King of Glory. I appreciate that, right? Like the local customs, how would we invite the conqueror in? I wanted to just spend a minute today to talk about gratitude. I think one of the important things that we need to be monitoring in this time of social distancing and pandemic is just the attitudes and the behaviors that we allow into our own hearts. And so as I was reflecting on gratitude, now certainly, I think that we probably see this plenty in our culture, right? We see stuff on social media, people who have gratitude journals. We can see studies that tell us that engaging in a practice of gratitude on a daily basis can actually change some of our brain function. It changes the way that we view the world. It changes our heart. Gratitude can be incredibly powerful, but this is not a modern recognition. And I think one of the things that always blows my mind when I stop and I think about it is the practice of gratitude that Jesus Christ must have had in his life. So today what I'd invite us to pray into is a bit of the story of the Last Supper. And I know we're headed towards Holy Week, and so we're going to be talking about this stuff a fair amount. But if you were looking for some place to pray, I invite you. Matthew chapter 26, verses 20 to 30. And again, you can use some of the style of Lectio Divina, some of the style of the imagination prayer of Saint Ignatius. This is the story in Matthew's Gospel of Jesus who tells the 12 that one of them will betray Jesus. And you can hear the shock that's resonating among them. What? One of us? And of course, I can't imagine seeing this without some of the memes that have popped up on social media, right? About how being a dinner host like Jesus, we should all do this. One of you is going to betray me. I do imagine that a little bit too. But in all seriousness, one of you will betray me. One of you who's dipping food out of this dish with me. And they can't believe it. And then, right after telling them that one of them would betray him, he then reinterprets the Passover meal and he gives the new covenant, right? The bread and the wine that is my body, that is my blood. In Matthew's Gospel, in this story of the institution, Jesus takes the bread and he blesses it. And he breaks it, and he gives it to them. And then he takes the wine, the cup, and he gives thanks. And then he gives it to them to drink. And then a little bit later, after the finishing of the meal, then they sing a hymn, and they go to the Mount of Olives. Just put yourself in the shoes of Jesus. You have been betrayed by one of your closest friends, and you know it. The authorities who have been hunting for you for days, looking for a moment of weakness, are closing in around you. You know that night you will be arrested and tortured, and then early the next morning a kangaroo court will set up and declare that you are guilty and worthy of death. And then less than 24 hours, you're going to be again tortured, mocked, ridiculed, and made to carry the instrument of your own death through a public spectacle, stripped naked and hung on a cross. One of the most painful ways that the human family's devised to kill a human being. What would you do? I can tell you what I'd do. Jump in my car and I'd get away. And if I lived in Jesus' time, I'd make sure that I used my 2 clodhoppers and I would go as far and as fast away as I could. What does Jesus do when he's faced with betrayal and torture and death? He takes bread and he blesses the creator of heaven and earth. He takes a cup of wine and he gives thanks to God for the goodness of God and the blessings of God. And then after it all, they sing a hymn to give glory and honor to God as they go to a place, the Mount of Olives, where Jesus is going to enter into prayer. That's why I say, I have to imagine Jesus Christ was a man who cultivated a discipline of gratitude. Because to be able to do that at that moment, I wouldn't have had it in me. I don't know about you. Today, the invitation is to enter into some gratitude. You could just write on a piece of paper 5 things that make you grateful. You could even just call to mind those things and root yourself in them. In the Mass, every single time, those are prayers that the priest prays as he takes the bread and he takes the cup before we enter into the Eucharistic prayer. And he says, "Blessed are you, Lord God of all creation, for through your goodness we have received the bread we offer, fruit of the earth, work of human hands. Will become for us the bread of life." That's the kind of gratitude that I desire to live at every moment. That everything coming from God, the blessings, the challenges, all of it, something that I desire to express gratitude and love to God for. Hope that you are able to enter into some private prayer, enter into some place of gratitude with the Lord today. Remember, as always, this is holy ground. God is desiring to change our hearts and change our minds in this time of pandemic. We can come through this with a deeper faith and a deeper lived experience of God present in our everyday midst. Praying for you. Always, I appreciate your prayers for me. Let's continue to love each other and pray for each other, because even though we can't gather, we're still church. God still has a plan to redeem all the world through Jesus Christ and His church. God bless you.